You're listening to Barbell Logic, brought to you by Barbell Logic Online Coaching, where each week we take a systematic walk through strength training and the refining power of voluntary hardship.
Welcome to the Barbell Logic Podcast. I'm Scott Hambrick, and that's Matt Reynolds over there. And today it's question answer Thursday. Yeah, because that's what we do on Thursday.
That's true. Actually, we answer questions.
I don't
every day,
answer any questions on any other days.
No, it's like a 6-day Sabbath and a 7th day of work, and the work is Thursday only.
Yeah, somebody's like wants directions on Tuesday. Sorry.
Nope, can't do it. You gotta wait till Thursday.
Yep. Submit if you need directions. Submit your question to questions at barbell-logic.com, and I'll answer it in 9 months on a Thursday.
On Thursday. So like, if you're eating dinner on a Tuesday and you know how your waitress comes in after 5 minutes after she's put your plate down, she says, "How's everything tasting?" You go, "I'll get back with you in 2 days."
Yeah, isn't that's such a weird thing they do. How's everything taste?
Yeah, because almost no one has the guts to say that it's shitty. You would.
Actually, I don't. I don't complain at restaurants. I eat it because I don't want to eat their spit or their, or have some, weird guy like Spody in my plate and send it back to me.
I kind of have the same. I have a similar thing with tipping, and specifically in Springfield. I eat at all the same restaurants. So occasionally, which by the way, and because I tend to tip really well and I treat my people well, like I get good service at the most of the restaurants I eat at in Springfield. Occasionally, I get some wait like this on almost every restaurant I eat at. I have a waiter or a waitress that I get basically the same one every time. Sometimes, of course, I have a day off. I get a different one. Service isn't as good. I still tip pretty well. Now, if I'm in a different city, because I know I'm going to come back there another 100 times. If I'm in a different city, or if I'm in a city where I know I'm not going to eat at this restaurant again, and it's bad service, And I always tip something. If you get really bad service, you should never not tip, because they could always confuse it and be like, "Oh, they forgot to tip." But if you get really bad service and you tip like 78 cents, that says, "Oh, I remembered to tip."
Right.
And you were terrible.
So if you are in the service industry in a town other than Springfield, and you see a giant hypertensive fellow in nanos and a gray T-shirt and a black ball cap, with kind of the proportions of maybe a chesty
Shrek.
Toddler.
Oh, okay. I was going to say Shrek.
Yeah.
A chesty toddler.
Seat him in the other guy's section, because he ain't fitting to tip.
I'm a really good tipper. 99% of the time, I'm tipping 25 to 30%.
Oh, no. I can't do that.
Oh, yeah. I tip way over 20. And then sometimes I tip 4%. But it's pretty rare. But I never tip nothing.
No, I'm firmly 10 to 20%. 10 if they stink.
Now, wait a minute. That's a big range. How often are you 10 versus how often are you 20?
Not very often. Not very often.
Okay. You're more often 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
18 to 20, whatever.
Yeah.
I really hate tipping. It is such a stupid thing.
It is stupid. But when you pay the waiters and waitresses $2.14 an hour, if they were getting paid like a normal wage, then I wouldn't tip.
I've got a friend in England. He's like, "Oh, the customer service is so much better in the United States because you guys tip. They don't tip over there. They'll just, keep the change kind of thing, like a few coins and maybe $1, right? They don't really tip." And he's like, "Oh, service in the United States is so much better. It's tipping." And I'm like, "Yeah, maybe it is, but golly, it just doesn't make the employers take responsibility for their employees,
Sure.
like I think it should. It's such a weird system."
You see a really high turnover rate for waiters and waitresses, even in, this is Springfield, so we don't have a plethora of nice restaurants here, right? So we've got 6 or 7 really nice restaurants. The same waiters and waitresses work at all of them,
right?
They bounce around. I go to the new fancy trendy restaurant opens up, and I go to it for the first time, and I know all the waiters and waitresses because they've worked at all the other nice ones in town.
Yeah,
that's kind of the way it works. So, and then you see, and Springfield's, I don't know if Tulsa's like this. It's super common in Springfield. The first 6 months, we just flood a new restaurant.
Yeah.
7 months later, Friday night, 6:30 p.m., nobody's there. Even when it's good. I mean,
Restaurant business is terrible.
Nope, don't want to be in it. And especially those nice restaurants, super low margins. Margins are awful on high quality food. All right, let's answer some barbell questions.
Hunter writes, squatting in flats.
Okay.
Hunter, I can almost guarantee that Hunter was born in 1998.
Right.
Email us back, Hunter, and let us know. There was nobody named Hunter. Well, there was probably like one guy that was born in Georgia in like 1831 named Hunter because his mom's maiden name was Hunter.
Right.
But since that, no.
As a side note, you guys can't see this, but Scott's mustache and his polo are identical in color today.
I hope that's not true
amazing.
because the shirt is like kind of khaki colored.
Yeah, that's what your mustache is. You got your mustache is like khaki with salt and pepper gray in it, but the pepper's khaki.
Okay.
So,
yeah, I've not been posting anything on Instagram or anything, so nobody can see it because Instagram is a sinking ship. Hunter says, "I love your podcast, and I have listened for many hours. It ain't puppy love at this point. You know, Hunter, it's not for me either." He says, "I know you both have strong feelings about a lifting shoe with an elevated heel. I don't know about that. With that said, have you ever advised a client to lift, specifically squat, in flats? If so, why did you give that advice? Is there a certain anthropometry which makes the lift in flats more efficient?"
I don't prescribe it very often. I'm okay with it if somebody's very long torsoed and short femored, because their femur is going to be generally vertical. Their shin is going to be generally vertical anyway in a squat. So if it's a pretty stable sole, I don't think the heel matters that much to people who are short-legged and long torsoed. I think most of those people should still just squat in a squat shoe because it's easier. It's pretty rare that I have a long-legged lifter do it, and I know that sometimes the conventional wisdom would be, well, a long-legged lifter, if you put a shoe on them, their legs get even longer. And that's true, right? Their shin would be longer. But because if you take somebody who has a long leg, their shin angle is so much more horizontal, at such a greater angle, they sort of need that heel to help set that shin angle a little bit. At least would you agree with that?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's helpful to talk about the long femored person and the heel before you talk about the short femored person with the no heel.
And the no heel, correct. Yeah.
So if you've got a Nikki Sims whose femur is 39 inches long, and that femur has to go from completely vertical to actually horizontal and then below horizontal, well, her knee and her hip are going to be 39 inches apart when she's down in the hole. They're 39 inches apart when she's standing up, but they have to be 39 inches apart when she's down in the hole. And then, of course, the midfoot is going to be right under the barbell. Well, her femur is so darn long, her knee has to go way far forward, and her butt has to go way far back.
Yep.
The more heel we can put on her shoe, the farther forward we can put her knee, and the farther forward her knee is. Remember, her femur is 39 inches. If we put her knee forward 3 inches, then her hip is 33 inches behind the midline. If we can put it forward 6 inches, then it's even closer to the midline, right?
Right, correct.
And the closer her hip is to the midline, the more she can sit up.
Right.
Upright. Her squat is limited by how far over she's forced to lean over because of the length of her femur. I'm the same way, but it's because my torso is short, not because my femurs are long.
Right.
So we want...
In fact, your shins are long.
We want Nikki and I to sit up as much as we can. So Nikki and I would use a little more heel than, like I think most of the Adidas shoes have a 1/2 inch heel. Well, I want a 3/4 inch heel or maybe even a 1 inch.
Yeah.
If a novice should just wear a regular heel, and we'll figure it out when it gets heavy, and then we'll start getting quirky. So you flip this. If somebody has a really short femur, their knee travels. The guy's got an 18-inch femur. His knee goes forward a little bit. His rump goes back a little bit, and he's almost completely upright. He doesn't get to use his rump very much up out of the hole. It's almost all quads. His hip angle isn't closed enough to lengthen the hamstrings and the glutes like they do for me, for example. Well, he could benefit from leaning over some more, couldn't he? I mean,
Right.
if we can lengthen his hamstrings and make him get that stretch reflex at the bottom, and if we can close that big robust hip angle up, he can use those muscles more than the quads. Because remember, when somebody squats, the knee and the hip both bend. The more one of those joints bends, the less the other one does.
Right.
So I want the big joint to close more than the little joint. The little joint's the knee, the big joint's the hip.
Unless you're the other person where the big joint closes so much, like the Nicky Sims, like you were just talking about,
Yep.
that it's actually, you've swung the pendulum too far the other way.
Yeah. In fact, I have to lean over so far that my rump and my hamstrings are so tight I could barely even hit depth.
Right.
But for my short femored fellow, you're right about that, man. But the short femored fellow, he needs to use some more rump, and a flat shoe can help him pull his knee back towards the midline, and therefore pushes this butt back a little more, and it'll get him to lean over 3 degrees more, maybe.
Yep. The one downside about that flat shoe is I've never found a flat shoe that I like.
Yeah, they're not very good, are they?
Well, they're typically, people use like Chuck Taylors, but the sole isn't what's the word I'm looking for? It's not stiff or stable enough. It's not made out of wood or stacked leather because there isn't a heel. So there's this very thin piece of rubber you're standing on. So it's flat, but it's not stable on the floor, right?
Yeah.
Then you have people that wear, no shoes, they go barefooted, or they wear, Vibrams or something, so they can spread their toes out and stuff. Those aren't very good either. So I don't really know of a good shoe that is a flat, and certainly it's not for those guys that are long torsoed and short legged. If they wear some Chucks or something, it's not that big of a deal. But there isn't really much out there that's good. I'm sure there's some decent stuff.
I'm not aware of it.
Not much.
Most of the good squat shoes have an oversized sole.
Right.
Like, if you wear a size 10 shoe and you get like a regular athletic shoe, the sole's going to have, I don't know, 100 square centimeters. I don't know what it is, right? But
Sure.
the squat shoe will have 120 centimeters. I mean, it's big, it's wider. There's more of the arch of the shoe in contact with the floor. Yep. And we sure do need a big, broad, stable, flat shoe with a metatarsal strap. And I'm not aware of anybody that makes a good one.
I'm not either. The best one on the market is probably that Reebok Powerlift. Yeah, Sabo's, I think I've made them in the past. Reebok has that Powerlift shoe that most people use to sumo deadlift in that are okay squat flats to, they've got a pretty solid sole, but they don't have a metatarsal strap. So, okay. So there you go, Hunter. So probably just get a pair of normal shoes. If you aren't sure, then you're just not ready. Because eventually it'll be real heavy. You'll have plenty of experience, and you'll be able to judge for yourself. If you're not sure, you ain't ready. David says, question on size. He's 34 years old, 190 pounds, 5'11". He said he's been in LP for about 8 weeks, and he's already had to buy new shirts and pants. Now, those are getting tight. I like getting strong, but how do I stop my muscles from getting bigger in physical size? This is getting out of hand. That is He's 5'11", 140? Is that what he said?
He says, listen, I got to restate this.
Hold on. How big is he again?
5'9". I'm sorry. 190, 5'11".
Okay. 5'11", 190. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, now go ahead.
But his question is, I like getting strong, but how do I stop my muscles from getting bigger in physical size? That is the dumbest fucking question I've ever heard in my life.
It is pretty dumb.
Who in the world is like, my
muscles are just too damn big.
My muscles are just too big. There's 11 people in the history of the world.
And he's one of them. Thank you for emailing.
Right.
Listener number 1 who doesn't want bigger muscles on the Barbell Logic podcast. We'll start numbering those like we do our female listeners.
Right. Listen, I don't want to be ugly to you, David, but, strength, force production is directly related to the cross-sectional size of the muscle tissue you have. And your muscles are going to get bigger as you get stronger. You could potentially get rid of a little bit of fat and keep your diameters the same. But at 5'11" and 190, you might just go ahead and move on into that large T-shirt and not worry about it. I will tell you this: it stops at some point. I mean,
Sure.
you're gonna buy your 511 and 190. You're gonna buy a dress shirt eventually that's a 1733,
Right.
and then you'll be done.
Yeah.
Then you'll be done, and those shirts will last you for a long time, and you're going to get some slacks that are 34-inch waist and got the full seat in them, and those are going to be fine. I think the normal dude that goes through LP is going to move through 2 wardrobes, or be
and so I think the simple answer, maybe not for David, but for other people listening who are going through this, is you've got to be sort of frugal with your wardrobe while you're going through this. Like I know one of the first articles I ever read on Art of Manliness before I even knew Brett was how to have how to have like an efficient wardrobe. Like you don't need like 22 dress shirts. You need like 3, right? And 2 different colors of pants and a pair or 2 of shoes, which your shoes aren't going to change, right? And a couple different ties and a sweater and a vest and a coat jacket. In about 10 articles of clothing, you can wear everything you need. And while you're going through that growing phase, you need to buy less clothes that are more versatile. And then once you settle in, you can start, you spend a little more money on nicer clothes because you're going to be in those the rest of your life.
Yeah, and you start going through LP and you grow out of your first set, the clothes you came into LP with. Just go buy that next set at the Goodwill. Like seriously,
right?
Counsel
the blind.
You're going to wear them for 90 days, and then you'll wrap up LP, and then you can go get some stuff that's going to suit you for a while.
Right.
Kelton.
It's a fun name.
Kelton says, I found your podcast a couple of months ago. I started from the beginning and binged on my hour-long commute to and from work till I caught up. I'm 26 years old. I'm male. Thank you, because Kelton is ambiguous. 5'6" and weigh 140. Before you say I need to gain weight, I know. I just began tracking macros. I've gained 1 pound a week last 10 weeks by getting 150 grams of protein, 375 grams of carbs a day. I've been running LP, and I feel I'm nearing the end. I'm squatting 255 across. My bench is 175 across, and my deadlift is 300 for 5, and I'm pressing 120. My question is, for MED, minimum effective dose programming on my squats, after going to a Wednesday light day, on Friday, should I go to 5x3 or a top set or blah, 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 blah?
We've got a whole podcast series. There's a whole podcast series on this. So the simple answer, first off, is if you weigh 140, you probably are about done with your LP. Yeah. If you want to prolong that, you're going to have to gain more weight. So you're doing fine. I'll tell you this, if you keep gaining 1 or 2 pounds a week, for the next 10 weeks, you'll probably keep moving on your LP, even with the Wednesday light day. But if you're done at 140, if you've gone from 130 to 140 and now you're done gaining weight, you're also probably done with LP. Wednesday light day, and then you just keep getting heavier on Friday, and you keep doing more on Monday. It's simple enough. We got a whole series on that, man. So there's different options.
My 17-year-old daughter is 5'7", and when she holds a cat, she weighs what you weigh.
Yeah.
Ed Cohn competed at, I think, 5'4" and 242 at some point.
Yep.
And he moved spectacular weights at 198.
Yeah.
Let's get you to 175 to 180. Let's get you to 175 or 180. And then you're not going to have that much trouble with 325 squat and so on. At 26 years old and that weight, your range of motion's not very long. 255 is not a very good squat for an LP for a 26-year-old guy at 5'6".
But at 140, that's about right. As a matter of fact, if I knew a female that weighed 140 and she squatted about 255, I'd say, yep, that's about right for LP. Congratulations.
Right. Yep.
Problem is, you're not a female, bro.
No.
So gain some weight.
Yep, and you can gain weight, and it sounds like you're doing good. I would up your protein there. You didn't mention fat. You need to be getting 100, 120 grams of fat or something like that. I don't know. 200 grams of protein. But up that stuff.
Yeah, at 140 pounds, 1 pound a week is not enough, right? You need to probably, even going for double, like we don't have to go crazy about this, but 2 pounds a week would actually be a significant difference. 2 pounds a week would be okay.
Yep.
3 pounds a week would be perfect.
You bet.
Any more than that, you're going to be putting on more fat than you need to. We don't want you to get fat, but this shouldn't go so slow that if you start at 130 or 125, you shouldn't be 10, 12 weeks in and having gained 10 pounds. You're not doing it right.
I have a
gain weight
client
faster than that.
I have a client who's older than this, but similar size. His name's Justin. He's an online coaching client, and he actually came to my house and came for training here with his wife. They're an awesome couple, and he weighed about like this. I said, "Well, we really need to get you 175, 180." And he's like, "Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy." Well, he's slowly gained weight. He's 15 years older than this guy here, and he slowly gained weight. And he messaged me the other day. He's like, "Yeah, I weigh about 178 right now, and it's going great. I'm going to continue gaining, and I thought you were nuts when you first told me that. Come to find out, it wasn't crazy." Right. And so I know at 140 pounds, you're heavier than you've ever been. I mean, you just think you thunder around like, I mean, you can't imagine being 175, but it will suit you well. It will suit you well.
It will.
Jeez, please. Corey says, "I've recently been turned on to your show and absolutely love your content."
I like it when we turn people on.
I like it when they're turned on to the show.
Yeah.
Not by.
Oh, okay.
Not
I
by
thought
the
that's
show.
What he said.
I've shared several episodes with friends and family. Thank you. That's how we grow the show. We can't run ads for this stinking thing. And so the way we grow it is when you guys are entertained by it and informed, hopefully, because we're trying to provide the finest of infotainment.
That is true.
And you send it on to a friend or family, If you've got two don't I know most of our listeners don't have hardly any friends, but if you have two, send it to two friends.
That's right.
And if you have three, write in and let us know.
Because we might have you on the podcast and try to figure out how to get that many friends.
Right.
You're social superhuman.
Corey says, "I have 4 questions." He's really asking a lot here, but he recommended
Pick out the most important one real quick.
He says, "I've heard every other day LP, and I've heard a 3 times a week LP. I've started, and I'm loving it so far. What's recommended, or does it even matter? Or does it matter depending on how one is feeling?"
Wait a minute. This guy's listened to our show, and he's asking if he should do 3-day-a-week LP or every other day LP?
He's in Missoula,
Montana. So maybe he's picking it up over a radio signal, and it can't come in. Maybe he can't get it all the time.
You know what I want to do? You said radio signal. Here's something I want to do.
Yeah.
I want to do a radio show on shortwave radio at midnight Central Standard Time about conspiracy theories.
Okay.
And then I want to record it on cassette tape.
Okay.
And then you can write P.O. Box, blah, 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 Tulsa, Oklahoma, and fill out a little form, and then I'll send you copies of the cassette tape.
Okay.
Like 1970s.
Right.
And we'll just talk about the craziest shit possible.
I was going to say, do you have a lot of conspiracies that you know about?
Oh yeah. I mean, like if I just talked about the ones I'm part of.
Oh.
There's 2 years of content.
Wait, what this guy want to know? I forgot. Oh, he's in Missoula. He wants to know if he does a 3-day-a-week LP or an every other day LP. Man, just 3-day-a-week. Listen, there's this philosophical thing. Are there young people gaining weight who could just train every other day for 6 or 8 weeks? Sure, it'd be fine. But I don't know you. You're in Montana, and the week is set up on a 7-day cycle, which I understand creates some problems with the math. But just train like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and do your every other day. And then at the end of the week, you get to take 2 days off and get a little extra recovery to gear up for the first workout of the next week. That's what I would do.
Yeah, we have trouble managing recovery for everyone. And even if every other day would suit you, that would stop suiting you. And then we'd move you to 3 days a week. And then that would stop suiting you, and we'd move you to a 4-day split. So just getting that 3-day thing, because it'll last a long, long time. And you say, does it matter depending on how one is feeling? No, because this will soon feel awful all the time. And it's the first time you've been through it, and you won't understand that. Frankly, I'm sorry. Number 2, you never add accessory work after the main lifts are done. Is that correct? No, it's not correct.
We add accessory work all the time, but not on LP.
Not in LP.
Unless you count chins. Chins get added sometimes. But outside of chins, we don't really add any accessory work at the end of the workout on LP. But at some point, we add accessory work all the time. 4-day split, man. Those slots in.
Yeah.
But you're not there yet.
No.
You're not sure how many times a week you're supposed to do LP, so you got a little while. Question number 3 and 4 were no better.
Ooh, Corey. Corey says, I'm a new personal trainer. I've converted my garage gym into a fully functioning training space.
No. Oh, no, Corey. No.
I've been reading and listening like a fiend. Actually, is what he says, fiend.
Not fiend. He spelled it wrong.
It's a fiend. For the past year and feel comfortable with what I would do with people depending on their goals. My question is,
how many times a week to train, man?
Yeah. He says, how would you train a client that comes only once per week? I currently have 2 clients, and that's what they've committed this for. I've taught them how to do the big 4. We're slowly adding weight. But these clients have either hip, knee, shoulder surgery and just want to alleviate pain. Dude.
You're not ready, bro.
You're not ready, but I'll talk about it like you are. If you have clients that only want to come in and see you once a week, then you take their training log from them and you write out programming for the other 2 sessions a week or 3 sessions a week if they're in a 4-day split. And then they come in and see you once a week. If they only want to train once a week, you probably just fire them.
Yep.
That sounds mean,
Definitely.
but they really can't. You really can't get them anywhere.
Can't really train.
We have to take pride in what we do, and as such, we have to put ourselves in a position to be successful and to help the client. So we can't always do what is ideal. I understand that, but this is so far from ideal that you have no chance of being able to apply your craft properly. And I would not do that for them. He says, should I be charging clients for additional programming outside your gym? Yes. You are not the United Way. We don't do shit for free unless it's mom or your wife or your girlfriend.
I was literally about to give the exact opposite answer, by the way. I was going to say, Corey, stop charging people for coaching and training and do it for free until you figure out what the hell you're doing. I think he has a fiduciary duty to not charge these people because he doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
Well, fair enough.
And who I would coach and train are not acquaintances, but I would coach family members and close friends right now, right?
Right.
Mom, girlfriend, brother, best friend, coworker, guy you're playing fantasy football with. Like, train those guys and for free and hone your eye. Like when you're learning how to do brain surgery, who are you going to do brain surgery on? I'm going to do it on my family first before I kill somebody that's paying me.
Listen, I hear what you're saying, Matt Reynolds, but I think he needs to charge him something. Charge him to use the gym.
That's fair.
$45 a month, guys. Charge them to use the gym. You need to charge them something. I trained a lot of people for free when I was trying to figure out.
By the way, that's more about them, right? I don't mean to cut it, but that's them putting skin in the game.
That's exactly right.
Much more than the fact that he deserves. Corey, you don't deserve $45.
No, that's exactly right.
They need skin in the game.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah, you got to charge them something because otherwise it's of no value to them. Renfield. I like that.
That's a great name.
I want people to start naming their kids like these old Anglo-Saxon names, like Ethelbert, Ethelred.
Those are terrible. No,
they're so good. Alcuin.
No, that's cool.
Yeah, I want them to go. I want to go back to those names.
No.
You don't like that?
I just Ethel's like Bertha.
Ethelbert, Ethelred. Oh, those are so good. Let me see. Let's find some more.
You're Googling it now.
Elfgar. Yeah, Winston. Like Wynnstan.
That's a great name.
Yeah. Wilfred. Yeah. Let's go back to that. Uther.
Everett. I like Everett.
Everett, my uncle, is named that. Renfield sent out a big long question that Berman actually answered, and then he said a follow-up. Here's his follow-up. Can you opine about the speed of the lift and what moving at a different speed, including pausing during the movement, does for developing strength? For example, slow down, fast up squats, pausing in the hole, explosive deadlift versus slow. There are clearly different physiological effects, but I don't know what they are, and therefore I don't know how to best utilize them to maximize my progress.
Okay. So if you don't know what they are...
Let's do some breathing exercises.
Then you're not... I need a Lamaze here. Then you don't need to... You probably don't need to utilize them in your training, right? We talk about this stuff as well. We've got lots of programming episodes, but... Here's the gist. when you slow down a lift, you are essentially making the lift harder to do, which will make it more time under tension, which will make it more stressful, but less weight. So if there's a need for volume, stress, time under tension, etc., you can slow down a lift and you can gain some benefit from that. Things like tempo also let you control the motor pattern a little bit. If somebody has a problem like on a squat where their knees slide too far forward or they shove too far back or whatever, they're having a hard time staying on midfoot, slowing the lift down allows them often to feel what it's supposed to feel like. That's one of the reasons we use it, right? Going fast, which is what we typically call dynamic effort work, is just a way to do power work with the main lift. So say instead of doing a clean, you can deadlift fast, right? And for advanced lifters, that can help some with some power production and some rate of force development, cutting down on that rate of force development. How much can it be trained? Not very much, just like you can't improve your vertical very much, right? Vertical is explosive work. For people who are not significantly advanced in training, by both time under the bar, programming, and actual strength, like actual magnitude of weight on the bar, you shouldn't be doing any of this stuff, right? Every once in a while, I have a person who has no body awareness, and I'm an online coach, not coaching them in person. I wouldn't have them do it if I'd coach them in person. But online, I have to slow their lifts down because they just go too damn fast. I have to slow them down to help them gain body awareness. That's not quite the same thing. And what I tend to have them do is slow on the way down, so a slow eccentric, and a fast concentric, right? Not an explosive concentric, not a dynamic eccentric. We're not jumping with the weight. We just go down slow, up fast. And that helps us control the weight. Outside of that, man, until you're way down the line in advance, you don't need this stuff. Simple as that. Simple as that.
Too long, don't read. You slow down to work on technique. You do speed stuff. If all you've been doing was heavies and you've been nothing but grinders back to back to back for months on end. That's what I use it for.
Yeah.
How you like that?
Perfect. Agreed.
Charles. There's a respectable name.
Charles is a good name.
He says, listener since the first episode, really enjoyed the podcast and the time and effort you guys put into it. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's effortful.
It is effortful.
It takes time. He says he's been doing the program for almost 2 years, started with LP, then Old Man, Texas. Now he's on a 4-day split. He's 45 years old, 6'1" and 210. He started at 185 and he's working towards 220. Kudos.
Good. Perfect.
He says he's been lifting at the local Gold's Gym, but wants to lift at home for a lot of reasons. One of which is to get the family involved. Good. He says, I want to put a rack in my basement, but the ceilings are too low.
Okay.
I know it's suboptimal. Do you think it's worth lifting at home and doing seated presses or continuing at the gym? No room in the house would work for standing presses, unfortunately. And I don't want to put it in my unheated garage and freeze my ass off all winter. I live outside of Boston.
Lives outside of where? Boston?
Boston, yeah. Oh, did you hear my light phone? Did you hear that?
I heard it. A little alarm. Heard it just a little bit. I would still train at home. I would try to figure out how to press overhead for most of the year. It's awfully nice in Boston about 8 months out of the year. And you could get some bumper plates and you could go out to the garage or the driveway and you could do a clean and press and overhead press at least once a week with a standing overhead press. I have Andrew Jackson do this all the time. He does 5x5 clean and press. And he cleans the first rep and then presses 5. Ain't nothing wrong with that. It's not that hard. Put an extra barbell.
Squat stands in the garage and a jump barbell.
Cheap squat stands, a barbell, one set of 45-pound bumpers, and then just put a bunch of old pig iron plates, smaller plates out there. It'd be just fine. And then you could do a seated press another time a week. It'd be fine. I think that's fine. We have lots of people that have to train in their basement. It's not optimal. If somebody's like, I can train at Gold's or I can train in my basement, but I have to do seated press, I'd probably pick number 2. Absolutely. And I'd say get outside as often as you can and still press overhead.
He says, P.S., do we offer any family plans with block coaching? Yeah, man.
We do. We do. If you'll email us, we do offer family plans.
Yeah, you join up, and then we give you a little special magic, like a magic word. It's kind of like abracadabra or something like that. And then the rest of the people in your family get discounts.
Actually, everybody now gets discounts.
Huh?
So actually, if you sign up at regular price, and then a family member wants to join, immediately we make both of your prices discounted.
Oh, I didn't know that. So it's better than I thought.
Yes.
Hey,
it's a place where we've changed.
Charles, can I call you Chuck, Charles?
Sure.
Chuck.
I'll speak for Chuck.
Chuck, listen, I have some openings, so you can ask for me, and then we can get you on the family thing, dude. Ruby says, and this is Gmail, and so I have a little picture here of Ruby.
Oh, how is she?
RUBI, and has a.
Oh, now hold on. I can't say it because I would have said Ruby. That's an old name. That Ruby is an 82-year-old white lady.
Right.
Glasses with
my
the big, like
wife's,
not Sally Jesse. What's those big? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Big giant glasses from the early 80s. But
My
Ruby
wife's,
with an I.
No, I think that I think this guy may be Portuguese from the spelling.
Oh, it's a guy. It's a male.
Yeah. He says, I find the show and YouTube videos very helpful. My question is about rack pulls above the knee. I've heard that above the knee rack pulls are excellent for hypertrophy of the traps. I would really like to grow mine. I tried them for the first time this week, and although I tried my best to use a good technique from what I've seen online, I felt absolutely nothing in my traps during or after. But my lower back during and after was in very bad pain, and the muscles felt like they were seizing up. Ruby, I want to know how tall you are, how old you are, and how much you weigh.
Yeah.
He says, I did 3 sets of 10 with 40 kilos lighter than his 5-rep max deadlift. Dude, you're just fucking insane.
That doesn't sound fun.
No.
Surely you were sore from that.
Everything's wrong here.
Hey, here's what I say about traps. I have huge traps, right?
Yep.
You would agree, right?
Yep.
I've never met anybody that has a 700-pound deadlift that doesn't have big traps.
Yep.
And if you actually want to grow your traps, you're like, I really want to. I answered a question this week on the family Slack about shrugs. To me, shrugs are a relatively completely worthless exercise. Mm-hmm. I don't know how shrugs carry over. You want to get big traps? Clean. Cleans build the biggest traps. And deadlift, heavy. Deadlift, heavy.
Yeah.
And clean. Everybody that cleans at some point, if you learn how to jump with a bar in your hand, you will shrug. You have to. You don't have to think about it. You have to think about the shrug. You're going to shrug. You're going to jump. If I do power cleans, I haven't done power cleans in 2 years. I wake up the next morning, my traps are killing me. They're sore. Also, deadlift. You deadlift 600 pounds, you'll have big traps. So when you say it's 40 kilos less than your 5RM deadlift, but you don't say what that is, if it's under, say, 300 kilos, you shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
Dude, I can rack pull above my knees. I can do like 950 or 1,000 probably. I mean, I've done over 1,000 in competition many times. I've done over 1,000 below my knees in competition. But, I mean, you got to go real heavy.
If you're looking for traps, friend, you just need to make sure that you weigh 100 kilos in body weight and that you're deadlifting from the floor as heavy as you can. And, we'll worry about that other stuff later. I see your avatar here. Above the knee rack pulls aren't high on your list to get you to your goal.
Right.
A couple of weeks ago, I talked about one of my clients that like sniffs French fries for lunch.
What?
You remember? So you don't even remember the shit.
Wait a minute. I listened to everything you told a story about somebody who sniffed French fries for lunch?
Yeah, like the kid won't eat.
Oh.
And,
and I'm
like,
a figure of speech.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Truth is stranger than fiction.
I thought you were being serious. I thought the kid had like an eating disorder, and he was just
he does. It's
about
about 3 weeks ago. I was talking about my online client who the weights are in reverse, like, and I'm just pulling my hair out trying to figure out what the heck is wrong and so on. Well, he told me one of the bad things about online coaching is it's hard to tell about these people's size. He's about 5'11". He got to 198, and he was pulling in the mid 400s and doing well. He's a young man, hadn't been lifting very long, and everything's been in reverse. Well, I can't tell what size he is on the camera.
Yeah, it's hard. Sure.
Well, I'm like, what the hell is going on? We need to have a talk about this. I'm at my wit's end. Oh, coach, I've been on a cut. I've been on a cut and I'm down to 178.
Right.
And I'm gonna stay on this deficit for about probably another 2 weeks.
Never said a word to you about it.
No, I mean, he told me that he wanted his waist to come down, but I said, friend, your waist is 33 inches.
Right.
Like as long as you have a liver and intestines, it's not going to come down. I mean,
right. That's it. But he did it anyway.
And now he's weighs 178. We're back at where he started LP at. What am I going to do?
I'm amazed. Like, the crazy thing is this guy is paying for a premium service with a professional in the field, and then is going to do this thing that undermines the thing he's paying for.
I don't know what he's trying to do.
That's so bizarre.
I was talking about him on my coaching academy class, and one of the guys coaches a lot of high school kids. He's like, oh, listen, all they want to do is be able to show girls their dick root.
Interesting.
You know, the abs and that, you know, that line, you know.
Yeah,
you
can
know.
we show you?
No, yeah.
Oh.
I'll screenshot it. Hang on. Okay, go ahead.
I got that sweet line where the obliques come down the belly and you just...
He weighs 178 pounds. Again,
dick root.
My 17-year-old daughter with a medium-sized dog weighs 178. Like what is he doing?
My daughter with a medium-sized dog.
If she picks up my sister's little beagle mix,
she carries a gallon of milk inside. She's 178.
Right. She's 5'8", and I don't know. She probably weighs 140. And this kid's just a little taller than her, and weighs. Their probably waist is very similar in size. I mean, I don't know what he thinks he's doing. And so, Ruby, I'm back to you, friend. This guy,
Ruby with an I,
was at 90.
Do you think he does a little like a heart over the I for the dot?
If he doesn't weigh 100 kilos, he does.
He has to, right?
I'm griping. This client I'm griping about weighs 80 kilos now, and he might get cut, but he will have no size at that. And if you're trying to get your traps to grow, you need to eat some food. Probably 80 kilos.
That's a beautiful woman.
And so, he'll be 18 very soon. And I want my 18-year-old guys to pull 500 in a year to 18 months of training.
Sure,
that are that high. That
he's
height.
17 right now. He's about to be 18.
Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah, and it's just not going to happen. I don't know what we're doing. I was really worried about him getting his body weight up because of the dietary restrictions he and his family have.
Sure.
I was worried about him having trouble getting his body weight up because he eats kosher and they have a lot of dietary restrictions, particularly about dairy and meat. And how, I don't know all those rules, but he does. Sure. And they follow those things very faithfully. And by golly, he did it. He gained 35 pounds and was at 198. And he figured out how to do it. And I was really proud of him, and he was very strong. But then this aesthetic sort of body dysmorphia thing where he thought he looked fat kicked in. And so now he's bopping around 80 kilos, 178. And he may actually be 6 feet tall now.
Yeah. When the culture that you live in, kid lives in California, has dietary restrictions, says you're too big, that's 17-year-old kid, that's a big weight to bear. By the way, if I were a Jew and I were going to eat to gain weight, you know what I'd eat? Hebrew National hot dogs. Those motherfuckers are delicious. I would eat, instead of a gallon of milk a day, I would eat a pack of Hebrew National hot dogs a day.
Okay.
Have you ever had a Hebrew National?
I have.
Oh man, they're the best dog.
Would you chew them, or would you just open your throat and swallow them?
No, I love Hebrew National hot dogs.
Would you just dislocate your jaw thinking about, like a snake and just?
We have our first wood fireplace, and I've been thinking about doing a little Hebrew National weenie roast in the indoor fireplace.
Yeah,
you should do that. You know what I like? So you have chili dogs, and you have Frito chili pie. Mm-hmm. I love Frito chili dogs. I combine them. Take a hot dog bun, open it up, usually a Hawaiian bread hot dog bun.
Oh, hey.
Put 2 Hebrew National hot dogs in there. I put Fritos all around the split open hot dog bun, the open faced hot dog bun, and the 2 Hebrew Nationals, and then I just smother it all in chili. So good. That's a good weight gaining meal.
You should do that tonight. Start up a fire in there and burn some dogs.
Frito chili dogs. Actually, my mom's making me birthday dinner. It's almost my birthday.
No, it was your wife's birthday last week. Happy birthday
yesterday.
to her.
My wife's birthday was yesterday.
Yeah.
That's correct. And mine is on Saturday, and I will be 41, which is a completely worthless age.
It's better than 17. Kristen, our 24th female listener, says, I started working out about 2 years ago. I started at 235 pounds of body weight and 40 years old, 5'2". I lost 35 pounds very quickly. And about a year ago, I started some other classes that were taught by 2 competitive lifters, and I learned a lot about technique. I learned really quickly that I much rather would pick up things and put them down than spend any time on cardio machines.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Over that year of these classes, I gained a good amount of strength, but nothing changed in my body measurements or weight. I've been a voyeur in some Facebook macro groups and continue to struggle with what to do with my diet. Like most that start out overweight, it's hard to wrap my brain around the idea of eating macros for muscle gain without great concern about weight gain. So after listening to your podcast for about 2 weeks, I've decided to give it a shot. She started LP. And so I don't know what her question is. How do I keep grip strength issues from getting in the way of deadlift progression? I know my body can go heavier if I could just keep hold of the bar. So she's pulling 140 and losing her grip.
Well, 40 pounds?
140-pound deadlift pulls.
Pounds, not kilos.
Yep.
That's really low.
That's really low.
So again, the first thing I do is I make sure that all of the stuff is fixed, right? Is the barbell decent? Are you using chalk? That's the first things. And then 2, do you know how to grip the bar correctly? We've got great videos on that. If you go to Barbell Logic YouTube, if you just search Barbell Logic grip on YouTube, you'll get some good videos on how to hook grip, how to alternate grip correctly, even how to double overhand grip correctly to make sure that you're able to hang on to that bar. A lot of times if people train at a Globo type gym, they have those bars that are like 30 millimeters and no knurl and no chalk. And
and this lady's 5'2", so she's got smallish hands, and those big bars are going to be really tough. But 140 is really low for your grip to be failing. We could probably get you a switch grip and some chalk and get you going there. She says, thanks you all so much for the free content. It's very motivating and encouraging. I'm sure at some point I'll be signing up for online coaching. Sign up now, and then I'll get your shit up. Request me, and I'll get this stuff fixed. It's ridiculous. She says, are 1/2 pound increases on the press sufficient? She's pressing 51 pounds for sets across for 5 triples or so. 1/2 pound increases are probably not.
You probably need 1 pound is probably okay. 1/2 pound is awfully small.
It's awfully small. 1/2 pound will get lost in the inaccuracy of the plates.
Yep.
If you use different plates every time you come in, you're probably putting somewhere between 50 to 53 pounds on the bar or something like that. So going up by 1/2 pound, it's just not enough increase for your muscles to know the difference.
I think I've talked about this on the podcast, man, but sometimes what I do with a person like that, if they use the same plates, the goal is to get at least one more rep. So you don't even always have to go up in weight, right? So if she's using 51 pounds, and let's say she's aiming for 3 sets of 5, and she gets 5-5-4. Well, next time she can try for 5-5-5. She has to get 50. She got 14 reps. The next time she does it, she could actually do the same weight and get her 15 reps. She has to get at least 15. If she gets 11 reps, she's got to get at least 12. The next time she's got to get at least 13, or she's got to beat the previous time. And then when I get to 15 reps, then you can bump up the weight again. And your reps might fall below 15 and go down. You know, if you're doing 5 sets of 3, you might go 3, 3, 3, 2, 2, 1, something like that.
Yeah, I have.
And then you just keep making it go up.
I have certainly used that, but I have had even better luck with giving them a single heavy followed by 3, 4, 5 sets of back offs.
I do this.
But we can get you moving there, and that body fat can come off a little bit. We can get those measurements to please you a little more. Daniel Shell, I want to name him.
He's now staff for us, so hopefully
so we can name him.
Question.
He says,
Dan. By the way, Dan is I think I can say this. So he is he still is, I think, an American military guy. Very knowledgeable dude. Has taken all of our classes, the academy, MED programming class, anatomy, everything, and he's now an intern for Block. So don't let me down with this question, Dan. If you let me down, I'm going to have Trent cut it out.
No, he says, Scott, you have mentioned a couple times you look for 1792 when you buy bourbon. Which variant? Foolproof. Foolproof. He says, I've enjoyed many of the whiskeys you and Matt have recommended on the podcast. Eagle Rare, Blanton's, Weller Antique 107, Lagavulin 16, Mellowcorn, and would value your recommendation. Yeah, it's foolproof. That is the one.
And that won whiskey of the year at the end of last year, so it's a little harder to get your hands on now. However, they have a very good 1792 Barton. I actually bought a barrel of this with some of my buddies several years ago. They have a really good barrel purchase program, so a lot of the big liquor stores, the Total Wines and the Specs and places like that will have a barrel pick of the foolproof 1792. And in my opinion, that's probably the best deal that you're ever going to get in a liquor store right now. Is if you go in and that liquor store has purchased a barrel of 1792 foolproof, they're going to be selling it for like $39 to $41, somewhere in there for a bottle. That's a sweet gig. That's a good deal. And it's hot at foolproof. I mean, it's basically like 1.5 bottles or 1 2/3 bottles of whiskey. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's some good stuff. I went over to my buddy Dallas's the other day, and he had a big bottle of just the white and black label Evan Williams.
It's
regular old run-of-the-mill. Yeah, it's good.
It's Elijah Craig. You know what I was drinking when I first came down here? I haven't. We just converted from morning podcast back to afternoon podcast. I was drinking Heaven Hill 6-year bottle in Bond, which you can't buy except for in Kentucky, which I bought for $12 a bottle. Oh, bro. It's so good. Yeah. It's so good. And then I converted over. Now I'm drinking Bozal. I'm drinking Mezcal.
I have no, Patui.
I like it. So, yeah, that foolproof is good. Evan Williams, Heaven Hill makes Evan Williams. That's the same thing as Elijah Craig. And the same thing as Henry McKenna. It's all the same juice. That's good juice.
And they label that white and black Evan Williams as bourbon, so it's at least 3 years old. It's dark in the bottle, you know?
I believe it's 4 years old. Yeah, if you have your choice between Jim Beam, Jack Daniels, or Evan Williams is the hands-down winner.
Yep.
And Jim Beam is 3 times better than Jack Daniels.
Okay.
Jack Daniels is the worst whiskey. Every once in a while, I drink Jack Daniels. Like if I was at a Chris Stapleton concert a few weeks ago, and that's the only whiskey they had was Jack Daniels. I was like, it'll still be fine. It's terrible. Jack Daniels is terrible, dude.
Jack and Coke is its own thing.
Sure, it's drinkable because it's it's spiked soda.
It can only be made with Jack. Like bourbon and Coke doesn't taste the same.
Okay. Yeah, that's probably true. That's what I should have done.
And I like one of those every now and then.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it's just a Coca-Cola cocktail is what it is, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you know. But boy, I was just like, just give me a double Jack on the rocks. And then I drank it, and I was like, gross. It has this weird, like, industrial medicinal flavor to it. It's an industrial medicinal thing. Like, it's like the way nuts and bolts at Lowe's taste like.
Yeah, it has a little light machine oil.
That's what it is.
Finish
There's machine oil in there. That's right.
I got a question that was actually posted in one of our iTunes reviews. So I'm trying to pull this thing up, and of course, iTunes is a POS.
Hey, listen, while you're pulling this up, I actually read the reviews for the first time maybe ever on iTunes.
Mm-hmm.
I got emotional. Dude, there are some really, really amazing reviews on there. So if you've been on there and you've left a kind review, there's a few that aren't nice, but 99.9% of them are nice. We still have a 5.0 rating on iTunes. I was blown away at the number of people that have said that this podcast has changed their life. So I was very humbled by that. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Let's see here. This guy says, love the Getting Started series. He gives us 5 stars. Salsa Jim, he says.
Sausage Jim?
Salsa.
Oh.
He's just started again after a long layoff, so I feel like a newbie again. 2 things I'm curious about, though. You never mention post-workout stretches and don't suggest pull-ups or barbell rows for novice linear progression. Can you address this or refer to me in a future episode?
Sure. We will refer to you. We're doing that now. I do post-workout coitus, I think, is the best way to recover from a good hard workout. Is another good hard workout. It's sort of like when you wake up hungover and you have a beer. After I've had a good heavy squat session, I just have a good heavy sex session.
Yeah, I cannot possibly think of anything a post-workout stretching session would do for you other than make you self-satisfied about it. It's not going to get you anywhere. And then as for barbell rows and chins, we have people do it all the time. When the deadlift starts to slow down, that midweek session is a great time to chin, barbell row, and more, I like the dips, Matt Reynolds. I like the dips.
I like dips.
I've always liked them, but I'm liking them more often and more frequently.
I like dips too.
Here's one star from M. Perez. He says, used to be decent. Go through the early episodes for topics that interest you. The podcast has turned into a waste of time with inane off-topic nonsense. Hey, fuck off and listen to a different show. It's good.
One of them said, what's the word they said? They were called it Okie conservative mentality, something like that. I was like, well, that's Scott. That's not me, man. Don't throw me under the bus.
Yeah, Del Vecchio
I've got
says,
Missouri conservative mentality.
Stick to weights was a good strength podcast, now ruined by Okie conservatism. They're under the mistaken impression that most of us care about their hayseed conspiracy theories and financial relationship family advice. Nope. Stick to what you know. He just goes on and on and on and on and on. And, listen, the guy's a midwit. He doesn't even understand what we're talking about. It all sounds like nonsense to him because he's a midwit.
Yeah,
it all sounds like word salad because he can't put it together.
Yeah, and it's sort of against his. It's against his worldview.
Right. He's like, and he's like, he thinks I'm crazy about my thing about It's a Wonderful Life, even though it's documented that the government paid for the thing.
Yeah.
All right, it's good.
I still love It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
Did you see that Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl? I assume you, even though you're not a sports fan,
yeah,
I assume you know that. And
that.
Donald Trump congratulated the great state of Kansas on their win.
Good.
Which is bullshit because the Kansas City Chiefs play in Kansas City, Missouri. And so now there are all these shirts everywhere that say the great state of Kansas or Kansas City Chiefs shirts, but it's in the shape of Missouri. It says the great. So, and if you didn't know, we hate Kansas. Missouri and Kansas don't like each other. There was a Civil War issue. I don't know. It killed some people.
John Brown is moldering in the grave.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Actually, I do understand. I understand it fully. So here's the thing. When you are on some sort of media, if you're the podcast co-host or the podcast host, or you're the guest or whatever, in that arena, you're one of the popular kids.
Right.
In that arena.
Sure.
I've never been one of the popular kids. But, if I'm on this show and there are people that listen to it, then clearly, they come and listen partly, at least for me, at least some, or at least they can tolerate it. And there's a certain kind of person who doesn't like the popular kids. They had trouble in the lunchroom or on the school bus. Betty Sue wouldn't go out with them. Whatever. And they just can't have it.
I saw that. I know that you're not a huge fan of the Joe Rogan podcast, especially anymore. You listen to it for a while.
I like it all right. I'm just not a huge fan.
I don't. So
there's no
came
more
out this morning saying that he is the number one podcast revenue. Whatever his podcast did, $30 million in revenue last year in 19, and the number of unbelievable, vicious, malicious haters that came out against him. It's bizarre. Oh. It's really bizarre to me. Here's a guy.
I bet he gets death. I'm sure he gets death threats.
Constantly. Here's what's crazy. This one specifically bothers me because, here's Joe Rogan, who I have no idea how smart Joe is. Joe has interesting people on his show. Because he's had these people from the right or the perceived right on his show. He is the enemy. And yet, he says 3 weeks ago, as of today, if he had to vote for somebody, he'd vote for Bernie. He's not on the right. He's on the left. Now, listen, I literally don't care. But you know
what the deal is?
I don't care where you sit on the I'm not even making a statement about the right or the left. What's bizarre is here's a guy who gives he's had Bernie on the show. He's had people from the extreme left on the show, people from the extreme right on the show. As soon as you have those guys, when you have Ben Shapiro or Jordan Peterson or somebody like that, you're the enemy. This guy's made $30 million, and people are going ape shit crazy about it. Wow. By the way,
he's a $30 million. That's what it is.
It is. And by the way, $30 million, I hate this shit. That's gross revenue for a business, guys. That doesn't mean that Joe Rogan has $30 million in his jeans pocket.
Except that he does.
But not from this past year. Not from this past year, though.
What does that show cost? He pays Jamie. He pays rent on that building.
I bet it's a little bit. But listen, I'm sure he's making a bunch of money. But let's be clear.
Yeah, it's fine.
Running a business costs some money.
Sure.
And people see this all the time. Like, oh, like when they say, oh, so-and-so is a billionaire. Like they have $1 billion in the bank account. They don't have a fucking $1 billion in their bank account, right? No. Now, Warren Buffett probably has $1 billion in bank accounts.
Yeah.
Right? And like there are some that do, but most don't. All right. Rant over.
Solipsism is the view that the self is the only reality and that the person entertaining their ideas alone exist.
So it's sort of an ultimate egocentric self.
And
self-centered.
And they just can't imagine the other, or that there might be other people that like the show, or that the show doesn't exist for him. Like, oh, it exists for me and it didn't suit me, so now I'm mad. No, go listen to the other show that does suit you,
Right.
It's just not for you.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing is with most podcasts, and this one isn't like that, but the vast majority of podcasts out there, especially the popular ones, are interview podcasts.
Yeah.
Which mean, if I listen to Art of Manliness or Tim Ferriss or Joe Rogan or whatever, I enjoy the podcast typically based on who's getting interviewed. Which means there are interviews that Brett McKay, who's one of my closest friends, does, who I do not enjoy because of the person he's interviewing.
Sure.
But it doesn't mean I don't like the Art of Manliness podcast. I think Brett is a great interviewer. I think that Ferriss is a good interviewer. I think that Rogan's a good interviewer. But, like if Rogan has MMA guys on, I don't listen to it. I don't give a fuck about MMA.
Mm-mm.
I'm not even going to turn it on. So, but I wouldn't go on and be like, this episode number 1037 is a piece of shit.
Stick to MMA. Stay in your lane, Joe.
That's right. That's so bizarre. Crazy. People are weirdos. All right, we've ranted for an hour and 15.
So there is another question and answer session. We answered a bunch of questions, but send yours to questions@barbell-logic.com. And thank you guys so much for those iTunes reviews.
P.S. I would like more questions from both females and men who don't want to gain weight.
Yeah.
Who don't want to get more muscular.
Hey,
so let us know, because we'll keep the count.
Do we ever get, hang on, we've had 24 female listeners. Have any of them asked a silly question or one of these tired questions?
I don't want to get too bulky. We haven't had a single question like that from a female.
No, they've all been stellar.
We've only had I don't want to get too bulky from dudes.
Yeah.
That's so weird. This is the world we live in.
There you guys have it. Send those questions in. We need them because that's what fuels this Thursday show. So send in your good questions to questions@barbell-logic.com. And if you need a little form check or need a little help with programming, or just have you want a little kick in the pants to get that barbell moving again, a little coaching help, you can go to experience@barbell-logic, and our own in Berman, Nikki Berman. That's Nikki with 2 Ks. She'll get hold of you and give you a little Skype call, a little consultation, give you some form checks.
Zoom call. You keep saying Skype. We're not in 1998 anymore. We use Zoom here.
Okay.
Just
Zoom.
like, the Zoom, the one that we're using right now on this very call.
Right now. Okay.
By the way, why aren't they a sponsor? Zoom, why aren't you sponsoring our show, man?
Yeah, they need to sponsor Online Great Books.
You spend a lot of money on Zoom. You spend a lot of money on Zoom too, don't you?
Yeah.
We should get together and do that. Be like, listen, look at this.
Yeah, but I also want to be able to fire them. That's good. Anyway, go to experience@barbell-logic, and Nikki will come to your aid and get that weight piling back on the bar for you again. No obligation to you. We'll just help. And if it
totally
suits
free.
you, thanks. Right. And if it doesn't suit you, well, sorry about that too.
Go buy.
Thank you all. We'll talk to you Monday. Everything's wrong here.